Mr. Chairman. Ms. Glazer, in your opening statement, you said something very important, I think, and that was the importance of maintaining the strategic ambiguity with Taiwan, and that being explicit about a mutual defense treaty or something like that could actually provoke the Chinese to take concrete steps to annex Taiwan. Could you expand on that? I think that's an important point because there's a lot of discussion in this committee and in the Congress that seems to assume a kind of Article 5 mutual defense treaty with Taiwan, which we do not have. And why is it important to maintain the ambiguity?
Well, thank you for that question, Senator. I believe that we all share an interest in supporting Taiwan and providing for its defense if we choose in a crisis to go to Taiwan's aid. That is up to the president in consultation with Congress. But I think that if we were to take a position of being clear that under all contingencies and circumstances we would come to Taiwan's defense, that China would view this as a resurrection of the mutual defense treaty that the United States had with Taiwan from 1954 to 1979. This was a condition breaking that of normalization with the PRC. And I believe that we should not rule out the potential for China to respond in ways that we don't want to see, including launching an attack on Taiwan. So we should help Taiwan to become more indigestible in terms of the way we support its military. We should ensure, importantly, as Matt said earlier, our own ability to intervene militarily on Taiwan's behalf, that we ensure that is credible. We should be working with allies to bolster their support for Taiwan. We should help Taiwan to strengthen its economy, including through the negotiation of a bilateral free trade agreement with Taiwan. And we should do what we can to limit and reduce Taiwan's isolation from the international community. All of those things will help to strengthen deterrence. And simply making a declaratory statement that we will come to Taiwan's defense if it is attacked may, in fact, undermine Taiwan's security.
Thank you. I think that's very important. And you use a term I've never heard in foreign policy: indigestible. I like that concept. Mr. Medeiros, why is it that the Chinese are reluctant to establish a kind of hotline, red phone, mill-to-mill connection? Because it seems to me that the danger, one of the grave dangers both countries face, is an accidental conflict. I just checked on Amazon. There are 11 copies left of the Chinese language version of the Guns of August, and perhaps we ought to send those to the Chinese Politburo, because this business of not wanting to be on the other end of the phone if there's an incident in the South China Sea makes no sense to me from the point of view of China, let alone our country.
Thank you, Senator. Excellent question, and I strongly support your information operation of sending Chinese language versions of the Guns of August to the Politburo Standing Committee. Maybe we can work on that after this hearing. But more specifically, actually, the channels of communication, crisis communication, exist. In 2008, a defense telephone link was created between the Pentagon and the Ministry of Defense in China. The issue is less the non-existence of channels. It's the fact that the Chinese choose not to use them. There's both a structural reason and an incentive-based reason for that. Structurally, oftentimes when the U.S., if the call is not prearranged, and it usually takes 48 to 72 hours to prearrange it, nobody on the other end in Beijing wants to pick up the phone because either it's not plugged in or they're not sure what to say when the phone call comes in. But more broadly than sort of the structural political reason is the incentive reason. I've heard Chinese retired military officers simply say the more we engage in crisis communications and confidence-building measures with the United States, the more that the U.S. will be present and push us in terms of conducting risky military operations within East Asia. And so, I think that I worry that it's going to take a Cuban Missile Crisis-like situation for the Chinese leadership to appreciate how important crisis communication is. and encourage them to move away from such a stilted view of how to use these channels, because the interactions between the Chinese military and the U.S. military in East Asia are growing in frequency and complexity. And if we don't have the right measures in place, the risk of a crisis is growing, and then because of the weak communication channels, our ability to manage that crisis is significantly constrained. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Frequency, complexity, and danger, I would say. Mr. Pottinger, my time is up. I'd like to ask you a question for the record, and that is, how is the Belt and Road Initiative working out for the Chinese with regard to their international customers? I think America has allies, China has customers. My sense is that they're getting some significant pushback from countries around the world who are finding that dealing with the Belt and Road Initiative is not all that positive. So if you could submit for the record some thoughts on how they're doing, if you will, politically with the Belt and Road Initiative, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you,
I
Mr.
certainly
Chairman.
will, Senator. Thank you.